Hello everyone, let's have a reaction to some of the news about Palestine.
Where is Palestine?
In the Middle East.
Yeah, where is it though? What's the capital? Who's the leader?
Well, okay, you're referencing Hamas now. And
I'm not referencing it. I'm saying I'm simply asking you.
You're referencing Hamas now.
If you want to talk about if you want to recognise a Palestinian state,
yeah.
Where is Palestine? Who's the leader? And where's the capital?
Okay, so we have Gaza, the Gaza Strip, and we have the West Bank. Those are the two parts of recognised where the Palestinian people live.
The West Bank is a disputed territory. I mean, Israel has for Zone A in the West Bank, Israel has security responsibility.
Illegally, Israel has that illegally.
There's a responsibility that the Palestinian people have a right to stay.
Okay, you may well believe that.
Palestine.
You may well believe that, but the practicalities of the Palestinian state are not there.
Well,
so again, I ask you, where is it? Who's the leader, and where's the capital?
So at the moment, of course, you're referencing Hamas, which has been designated a terrorist organisation.
Do you think
but
we
are talking here about the Palestinian people and the rights of the Palestinian people, not of Hamas or any future government or setup.
They voted for Hamas. Hamas are supported by many Palestinian people, and we know that there are loads of Palestinian people, including in Gaza, who never thought to think, hold on a second, there's an electrician coming in who is putting forward some infrastructure below a hospital. There are people who are buying extra food because they're having hostages. At what point did a lot of those people actually raise the flag and say, hold on a second, there's a hostage in this building, or alternatively that Hamas are building tunnels there? The thing that happens, coming from Northern Ireland, I know the terrorists can be supported when they swim in the sea of people who support them. Where is Palestine?
Right, that's Talk Radio's reaction. He's a journalist from the north of Ireland, and he seems to be strongly in favour of Israel. That tends to be the opinion on Talk Radio. Used to be Talk Sport. Let's have a listen to another Talk Sport clip. I've met Mike Graham. He's gone downhill as well.
Well, if it's not in existence, then what are they recognising?
Again, same topic. What are we recognising when we recognise the Palestinian state? The previous two said it's Gaza and the West Bank, and the interviewer pointed out that the West Bank is a disputed territory, and of course it's riddled with settlements, ethnic enclaves, ethnic colonies, racial colonies. He seemed to be in favour of that. Here's Melanie Phillips anyway, another ardent Israel supporter.
There's no logic, is there?
No, they're recognising an idea, they're recognising a wish. I mean, the whole thing would be farcical, would be comical, were it not so serious. It is, as your viewers have just said, a reward for terrorism.
Yes.
Hamas has actually said, thank you, it has said, this is the fruits of October 7. Can you believe this? That Britain's Labour government under Sir Keir Starmer has delivered to Hamas a reward for the most barbaric and biggest single atrocity against the Jewish people since the Holocaust. What?
Against the Jewish people or against Jewish people? Why does she insert the when talking about that incident? The victims were Jewish. Was it against the Jewish people, or was it against those particular Jewish people? Were they targeted because of their Jewishness, because they're Israeli, because their attackers were terrorists? There's some important questions to answer.
An appalling disgrace for a British Prime Minister.
Yeah. And what I've been saying this morning as well, it doesn't appear to have been any kind of public conversation about it. There's been no debate in Parliament, as far as I'm aware. I haven't really even read a piece written by a cabinet minister in defence of this particular position. There's been no intellectual conversation about it whatsoever.
Well, no, I think we can all see broadly what's happened. You know, Sir Keir Starmer under enormous pressure from the Gaza first tendency, which is growing, unfortunately. I mean, as if Gaza has anything to do with the interests of the British people, of whom he is the Prime Minister. But anyway, there's an enormous pressure on him personally from his hard left, who would depose him in a heartbeat over this. There's enormous pressure from the rising Muslim bloc, the rising power of the Muslim bloc, both inside the Labour Party and in the country.
So there was no vote on recognising a Palestinian state. Was there a vote when we recognised Kosovo? I don't think so. Honda Troll is with us, and Honda Troll is saying it treats Jewish as an adjective and people as a general collective noun. You're good with your English, better than me. Let's hear from, and we'll need it to read the translation, Mr. Benjamin Makowski. Was that his original name? Let's have a listen to him.
Look, I respect...
Oh, he's speaking in English. He did live in New York at some point, so he speaks very good English.
Friedrich Merz, I think he's been a good friend of Israel.
Oh,
he's buckled.
Saj, World for You. The World for You is in the comments. We'll have a chat with him in a minute. Unfortunately, I can't get him on the screen. But everyone that loves to watch videos from around the world, log on to The World for You and drop a subscribe. He's just been to a Palestine protest in Mexico, of all places.
Under the pressure of false TV reports, the pressure, internal pressure from various groups. And I can say this, and I don't want to talk about him specifically, but I want to say this. Look, maybe some choose to forget October 7th. We will not forget what happened. And we will do whatever it takes to defend our country and defend our people, defend our future. We will win the war, with or without the support of others. But I think that there's an issue here. And the issue is many leaders tell me, look, we know you're right, but we can't stand, in the face of the public opinion in our country, especially European leaders. They tell me that over and over again. And I say, that is your problem. It is not our problem.
That's him reacting to the news that the UK has recognised the Palestinian state. And of course, when the Israeli state was created, it was bombed into existence by attackers that hit British targets, who blew up the King David Hotel, who executed British soldiers by a hanging. So all manner of terrible things done to the Brits by that state.
The question I wanted to ask you, are you hoping for peace in the Middle East?
I'm not here to answer your question.
So I want to
answer. To answer mine. No, we're not having speeches.
No speeches.
You're here to answer questions. Okay? So the question is, when you say this is a reward for terror, why do you not see that in fact what this is your close allies, Britain, France and others, Canada, Australia, telling you you're getting this wrong and you need to think again?
Answering your question. You know how Hamas called it? The fruits of the massacre, in their own words. So, and I will ask you, do you want to see peace in the Middle East? I will answer. I want to see peace in the Middle East. I want to see my daughters grow up in a different...
So why not listen to your allies who say the route to peace in the Middle East is the two-state solution, and the route to that is recognition of the Palestinian state?
This statement, coming out of London and other cities in the world, does not promote peace. Perhaps it corresponds with some internal domestic issues. I don't know. But one thing I know for sure, it does not promote peace. On the contrary, it promotes destabilizing the Middle East, destabilizing the area, rewarding terrorists.
How does it destabilize? What does it do?
I will answer. It's giving a gift to terrorists, rewarding violence.
How does it actually destabilize anything? There are already nearly 150 countries that recognize
the message
Palestine.
you are sending, or the people sending this announcement, this declaration is, if you go out, if you kill 1,200 Jews, massacre families, burn them alive, you will be rewarded. This is the worst thing you can do. And I would say another thing.
But hang on, did you listen to Starmer's
I
speech?
did, actually I did.
In which he said
to the entire
Hamas
6
have
minutes.
no future in Gaza. They are terrorists in his view, and they are looking at further sanctions. So it's not a reward to Hamas. What he is saying is that if Israel, as it has, kills 60,000 Palestinians, if it starves them, if it continues to destroy cities, you have your finance minister saying that this is the demolition stage of what's going on in Gaza, and soon you'll be building. If you behave like that, then your allies will effectively tell you off and say, no, you need to deliver a Palestinian state. That's the message.
Might be wrong. And in this case, they are very much wrong. Because what they are doing is not promoting peace. If you want to see peace, you need to keep in mind that statehood is part of a peace negotiation, part of a conversation, a concession between two parties. This is not what's happening.
You're not prepared to negotiate, though, are you? I mean, you bombed the negotiations in Qatar.
No, the negotiation is not with Hamas. Hamas is the one that is trying. If Hamas will be next to us in this moment, they will slaughter me alive. And they will do the same to my family. They have it in their charter. Kill every Jew. That's it. So we're not negotiating with Hamas.
But to end the war, you were negotiating with Hamas, and that's what you bombed.
And the idea is to end the war, and you touch on a critical point. If people in London want to see this war comes to an end, and this is what I want to see. I want to see this war coming to an end. They need to do two things. First, demand the immediate release of the hostages. First, demand Hamas to disarm immediately. Any other move, gesture politics is just giving Hamas more energy to continue fighting. Why would this be the will of the people in London? I don't think, by the way, it's the will of the people of London. For what I hear, most of the people in the UK oppose this step by the UK Prime Minister.
Well, I don't think that's true. I think most people in the UK are with Palestine now. I know most young people in America certainly are. Chris Roberts is saying, also encourages losers to migrate. What do you mean by that, Chris Roberts? Which losers are migrating, and where are they migrating to? Are you talking about people fleeing a war zone, perhaps? Here's another clip.
Can I just stop you there? Just as a journalist, I would say that Al Jazeera do not say that they support terrorist Hamas. Al Jazeera is an international news organisation, and it certainly doesn't support any particular side.
Al Jazeera had reporters within Hamas, within Israel, on October 7th with Hamas. Al Jazeera are broadcasting Hamas propaganda. Al Jazeera are working for Hamas when they have
Al Jazeera are using journalists inside Gaza because, like all the rest of the international media, Israel will not allow international journalists into Gaza.
Yeah, Al Jazeera, the few journalists that were already in, or the journalists that were already inside Gaza, many of them were Al Jazeera, and of course outsiders were not allowed in. Chris Roberts is saying, regarding the losers that he mentioned, like the boat losers, say what you like. There's no war in France, gay boy. We're not talking about France tonight. We're talking about what's happening in Palestine and Gaza. I think the people coming from France to England on a boat is a different matter. Although Israel, I'm sure, the Israeli military would love everyone in Gaza to leave and get on a boat and come to France or England. Ralph Perry saying, guy sounds like Trump, just throwing crap out there. What about Nigeria, says T. Jane Dong Bill. What about Nigeria? Good question. No wahala. There is no wahala in Nigeria at the moment. I would love to visit Nigeria. Has anyone ever been? I don't even know if World For You has been there yet. He's been to much of the planet. Let's have a look at someone on a bus. A bus clip.
Pardon? No, this is fine. I was just wondering, are you allowed to wear that badge for work? The boycott Israeli apartheid one, does it not go against company policy to express... Does it not go against company policy to express your political beliefs?
No.
No, it doesn't. So if I check with them, yeah. So you don't think that's intimidating to Jews or... I mean, I'm British Israeli, so you don't think that's intimidating for people who are... Because I'm Israeli, and I feel intimidated being on a bus. And luckily, I have a British accent because my mum's British. But had I have come on with an Israeli accent, I would have felt quite frightened that you would have recognised me as an Israeli, because that's intimidating. You shouldn't be expressing your political beliefs at work. You shouldn't. I don't come on. I don't go to work. I'm a teacher. I don't go to work wearing an Israeli flag dress. Do you think that's appropriate? Yes, it would, because I work in the public sector, as do you. It's not appropriate to wear.
That's your personal opinion.
No, it's not my personal opinion. No, it's not. It's not professional. It goes against professional guidelines to express your political beliefs at work, especially when that could potentially intimidate people. I find that intimidating. My mum's best friend's family died on October 7th. They were murdered by Hamas terrorists.
Well,
I find that...
the conversation I'm going to have.
I find that intimidating. I find that triggering.
Well, I can't do anything about that, I'm sorry.
You can do it. You cannot wear that at work, because it's political opinions that can be offensive to Jews and Israelis getting on your bus.
Well,
you work in the public sector. You have, I'm sure you all have Jewish friends, don't you? Like you all, like in the 50s, you all had black friends, you all had Jewish friends, and your Jewish friends.
Now you're being offensive to me. I'd like to get that
You're being offensive to me.
I'm not being offensive to you.
Yeah, you have Jewish friends who are happy with you walking around with that on. I highly doubt it, since most Jews are Zionists.
They've stood next to me when we've been demonstrations in Manchester.
Oh right, yeah, I'm sure.
No problem.
I'm sure. And you don't condemn Hamas for what they did on October 7th. You don't.
If you're quite finished.
You don't condemn Hamas for what they did on October 7th.
I'm not having that conversation.
Yeah, because you don't. Terrorist flag, terrorist sympathiser, white saviour complex. Have you ever been to Israel or Gaza?
Now, you are being offensive.
Enjoy. This will be going.
Okay, yeah, look, he's expressing his opinion. What if he was wearing another flag? What if he had the Israeli flag? But at what point do we say, come on, we've got to let people speak out against what's happening? I'm very much for freedom of speech. I think he should be allowed to wear that. But then I have to ask myself the question, if he was wearing the Israeli flag, would it offend me, or would I just say that's his right to do that? We've seen the Ukraine flag everywhere. I don't think anyone had a problem with the Ukraine flag or the Pride flag. Well, some people do. Some people are homophobic. And maybe if you're Russian, maybe if you got on a bus and the bus driver was wearing a Ukraine lanyard, that would be offensive to you. Honda Troll is saying every opinion is a lens into how someone else sees reality. It can sharpen your own thinking, either by confirming what you believe or by exposing blind spots. Yeah, I think we need to listen to each other. We need to open up the debate. I am very much in favour of freedom of speech, which is why I want to have these conversations. If you want to come on here and call me an idiot, you'll be welcome to. Another night we'll put the phone number up there, and you let people phone in. Who is this man? Are you talking about me? I am me. Who are you? Cass. Let's watch a bit of my second favourite Piers Morgan. And look who he's with.
I think you should update your poison. You should get an updated version of the talking points against Israel. All of the things you said they're quite low level. They're not very impressive. I've heard it 1,000,000 times, and it's quite childish. It's interesting for me to hear that from an Egyptian. Last time I checked, Egypt is the second largest beneficiary of American money. And if you reportedly really care about your tax money, then have you asked yourself why the US is providing so much money to Egypt and what the US gets in return? And what I would like to know is, why is the Arab Egyptian Republic refusing to receive refugees, their Arab Muslim brothers from Gaza, and why are they so inhumane and cruel and preventing poor Gazans from escaping a war zone? Last time I checked, the only war where civilians have been prevented from leaving, escaping, fleeing a battlefield is this war. I cannot remember, and maybe you as a comedian can think of another war where civilians were prevented from a neighboring non-hostile state to flee the war.
Well, men were prevented from leaving Ukraine, weren't they? I mean, they were being forcibly conscripted in the street in quite horrific scenes, bundled off in vans. But yeah, men were forbidden to leave Ukraine only recently, and quite a few transgender people had some issues at the time.
I cannot remember any such thing. And I think that the country where you come from has a lot to answer from. I know that you're more confident in bashing Israel and talking conspiracy theories and AIPAC this and that and all of the other nonsense that you regurgitated. But let's talk about Egypt. Let's talk about their responsibility. Let's talk about US funds to Egypt. Let's talk about their cruelty. Let's talk about how they have prevented humanitarian access to Gaza. Let's talk about the fact that they have built the world's biggest wall that dwarfs the Chinese wall and all Israeli security walls between Gaza and Egypt. Why did they do that? Out of Muslim compassion? Out of care for humanitarian rights of their Arab brothers? No, because they want the poor Gazans in, and because they know that programs like this one and other programs will support Hamas propaganda and will blame Israel for what's happening.
So he sounds like he would love all the people in Gaza to be allowed to escape and never return. 80% of people in Gaza are from families that were expelled from what became Israel in 1948. So they've already been expelled once, they've already escaped once, they've already left their homes once. And if they do it again, that's the project, isn't it? Even Charlie Kirk touched upon it when he reluctantly said to Ben Shapiro, look, what's going to happen here is they want to ethnically cleanse Gaza, get all of one ethnicity out of it and put another one in there. And don't forget, there were settlers in Gaza, there were settlers in Sinai. Sinai was occupied until 1982, if I'm correct. Honda Troll saying Suez Canal is an American interest in Egypt. Curtis is saying let's talk about what Jesus said and the Bible. He said Jews did to its own saviour. Well, we could talk about the Bible all night. They also send money to secure influence for other interests in the region. Trump is saying, shall I do the Trump voice? I was 400 pounds. Now I'm on snake juice. I weigh 150. Thanks to him. And CG is saying PewDiePie. Don't know why he's saying that. Interesting. Here are all the countries that already recognise a Palestinian state. 147. And it is now, it could be 148 with Keir Starmer making a big difference on the world stage before he loses his job. Don't forget, this is your channel. You are free to say whatever you want on here. You can put the Israeli flag and the Ukraine flag and the American flag, like Manuel Dominguez has put. Yeah, you see, Ukraine flag everywhere. blue at the top for the blue sky, and the gold and yellow below for the corn fields, or the bread basket. Ukraine was regarded as the bread basket, and the name Ukraine, of course, means frontier. The Ukraine, the frontier. Some people don't like mentioning that. PewDiePie was my first thought. Okay. Chomo Chump Trump, the world's clown. Thank you, Ghost Samurai. I should let you know, this channel is actually a backup channel for the real channel. L for L Uncut, L for L Lessons for Life. The original channel, Lessons for Life, is where we put all the Speaker's Corner content, protest footage, Julian Assange, Free Palestine protests. Much more content goes up on Lessons for Life, the main channel. And this is just a backup where we can be a little bit freer in what we say and what we do. Sulat Mirah is saying, Joker, you here? Yeah, we've got a few jokers in the pack tonight. And Steve Ray Tyler is saying, hey big boy, with a kiss. Thanks, Steve. And Sandman is expressing his love for Israel with the Israeli flag and some blue hearts around it. Yeah, you're not going to offend me. You will offend some people. Some people are very easily offended. I'm hoping to study Stoicism soon. I believe it will help me to be even calmer than I already am. You will not offend me with your Israeli flags, or any flag really. I don't care what flag you fly. The Romans, we're debating in the comments now about who killed Jesus. Well, look, if you're a Christian, then you believe that God so loved the world that he gave his only son to be sacrificed for your sins. So if you are a Christian, if you believe that, then everyone killed Jesus because we were not good enough. If you have a different belief, the Muslims say that Jesus was not killed. It was made to appear like he had been killed, but in truth he had not. So there you go. Different faiths for different needs. Lorna de Barge is saying greetings from South Lebanon. Why? I mean, Lebanon is a tiny country. Why do people always specify if they're from the south of Lebanon? Is that a hint that they're from a certain group within Lebanon? It's a geographical area. South Lebanon. I don't know. It can be so territorial. Zahran Arshad is saying he is in heavens alive. So Jesus is in the heavens. No, see, this is the word heaven gets translated differently in the Bible. It talks about the 7 heavens and above. This, I think, in the Quran is the samawat, the skies. But heaven, people often get it confused with paradise, because people talk about heaven in the Christian context. They talk about heaven being paradise. The Quran talks about Jannah, gardens, Jannat al-Firdaus. Firdaus being a Persian word that came into the Arabic language. Firdaus, paradis, paradise. Paradise is Firdaus. Jannat is the gardens. But heaven, the heavens. So Jesus is possibly in heaven, in the heavens, up in the Samawat, to come back one day. The Big Bird is saying Stoicism is legit. I need to study it. Zarhan Arshad, come back one day. Hello, big bird nerd. Heaven is a hologram. We are all avatars. I like the logic there. And Hassan Iqbal saying Firdaus, not Firdaus. Well, I think Firdaus is the Persian, and Firdaus would be how it ended up in the Arabic lexicon. Languages do borrow things from each other, don't they? Tideham is saying, hello folks, what are we discussing? Well, we were talking about the Palestinian state being recognised by the UK, but we've gotten on to Jesus and whether or not he's coming back, and different descriptions of heaven. So you're welcome to join in. Look, 148 people in the comments. Hit subscribe. Put the notification bell if that still works. And another night we will do this again. And I'll put a phone number out. And we can chat live. But also do head on over to Lessons for Life, the original channel. This is just a spin-off backup channel. Tideham is saying, I'm a Norse pagan myself. How interesting. A lot of people are harking back to these ancient beliefs that people had. People are fed up with mainstream religion and they want to go back to their roots. So I can well understand that. Even we're talking about Iran and Persia, even the Zoroastrian faith, I think, seems to be making a bit of a comeback, especially in the diaspora. A lot of people that sort of fell out of love with Islam, or who weren't very religious back in Iran, would embrace their Zoroastrian heritage. I think you can do both, be proud of both, be a bit of everything. Lorna Dabage is saying, having been recognised isn't enough. Okay, that's on the issue of the state. Pink Moonlight, what do we think would happen if Genghis impregnated Trump today? Would their offspring be a super life form? Imagine that. Donald Khan or Genghis Trump? Which would it be? And Tideham is saying that his origins are Scandinavian. Frankie Boy, I think Starmer was wrong recognising Palestine. Were the UK right to recognise Israel back in 1948 when the British Mandate of Palestine collapsed and was bombed away? The bird nerd, faith goes too far when it attempts to harm other beliefs. Very true. Tideham never understood why Western people started bending the knee for a Middle Eastern prophet. Not to be rude, I get what you're saying, and that Middle Eastern prophet in this case was Jesus. Yerk is saying, easy mush, how's it diddling? What do you think of the Stardog dilemma? I wonder, Yerk is speaking in a very localised way. I wonder what accent that is. Easy mush, how's it diddling? What do you think of the Stardog dilemma? I don't know why I decided it was a northern accent. I don't know what to say. I don't know. I'm not cool anymore. And I think the Stardog is Starmer. Keir Starmer, was that who he was referencing? Remember when he got chucked out of a pub during the lockdown and the landlord was like, get this guy out of my pub, and Starmer was looking embarrassed, and then these huge big bodyguards were holding back the landlord of his own pub. That was the insanity of the whole lockdown situation. And Hassan Iqbal, is saying that the Vikings literally adopted Christianity. Hassan Iqbal is saying two-tier care. Yeah. Two-tier system. Alright, people. It's been my absolute pleasure to chat with you tonight. As I say, I'll do another one with a phone number. But Lessons for Life, the original channel. And also check out The World for You with our good friend Saj, who is travelling the world. At the moment he's attending Palestine protests in Mexico. You couldn't make it up. This has been L for L Uncut. We were here. We are gone. Latest.